Oye, 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 Alex Torre junto a Omar y Geraldo, and welcome to this TWM special debate episode that we have for the second time. This is this is something that will be different for us. We usually do our episodes in Spanish, but this time we're gonna do something different because we're gonna do a debate in English. It's not an interview; it's more a debate. And for the second time, we have this Boricua that she's not only the announcer of the stars or the queen of the soft style, she have her own show, the hashtag Miranda Show from Chairshot.com, and you can also hear her as part of the Lucha Central website. So for the second time, let's give a shout to Miranda Morales.
Welcome.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me on tonight's debate episode. Thank you so much for having me come back. And I'm just so honored and excited to be with you guys again. And muchísimas gracias para hacer este episodio en inglés porque eso es todo lo español que puedo hablar. That's it. That's the
That's
sentence.
fine.
It.
That's fine.
But we'll throw in some Spanish in there as I can. But I'm very excited. I think this will be a great episode, and I'm just so excited to talk wrestling with you.
No, that's
Thank
good.
you.
You maybe you need like a summer in Puerto Rico. Doing some announcing in the all these different Puerto Rico, company wrestling companies. And
Yes,
maybe when you
sí.
go back in
Mira,
August.
si una promoción allá you want to hire me? Sí, I want to go. So yes, that's the typical. That was always the running joke as a kid. You got to spend your summers in Puerto Rico to pick up your Spanish again and para hablar con su familia and all that. Yes, I just need to do that. So hopefully, yeah. Actually, real just random funny story. My
Uh,
dad is there right now. He's visiting my abuelo in Fajardo.
cool.
He lost his ID. He lost his driver's license.
Oh,
So
Oh, wow.
he's supposed to come back, I believe, on Saturday or Sunday. And
hmm
he brought his passport card with him. The card that you get when that kind of accompanies your passport, that is expired. So
oh,
he may be stuck there in Fajardo for until he gets some kind of form of ID recognized. So I may have to go over there to see him if I can. He can never come back because he can't get an ID.
what? That's the best excuse to go there. Go there,
Yes.
pick up your dad. But before you coming back, go to the old San Juan, eat some alcapurria, bacalaito, rice and
Piñones.
beans, and all the good stuff. Mofongo, all the good stuff.
Yeah, you're already. My mom made arroz con gandules the other day, last
Oof.
week, and a chuleta like that.
Ooh.
Yes, yes. So I'm very blessed to have it. We have little things here in Arizona, little reminders, little things, but it's not ever as good as what you can get there. So
Cool.
I do what I can with what I have, but
Yeah,
now I'm
I
just
hear
hungry.
you.
Just hungry.
I hear you.
Okay.
This is the best way to start a debate, talking about Puerto Rican food, that we love, we never get tired of. So,
No, never, 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 never.
so tonight's topics, I'm going to start for the first one. And I know this is one that Miranda, you in particular, I know that you watch closely because I know that you are the one of the few media that covers companies like Impact, for instance. I know a lot of people, they always go with WWE and AEW, but Impact Wrestling, is one that at least us we cover as well because we know that it's a good company for the last year. So the first topic is how good is the partnership between wrestling companies right now? So between AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and other companies. I'm gonna start with you, ladies first. So what do you think about this partnership?
Yeah. It's good that we start with Impact because they do have multiple partnerships that have existed for quite some time and some new ones that have come up. The newest and biggest one has been their I'm gonna say quote unquote partnership with AEW because I don't feel like it's been a true partnership. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that it's been Impact Wrestling providing the platform, the airtime, the storyline, their title belts, all for AEW, and AEW has just provided Kenny Omega. So the build up to, I believe it was not Hard to Kill, but the pay per view in which we saw Rich Swann versus Kenny Omega.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh my
think that
God.
was Hard to Kill. It's been days since I slept,
Yeah, because
so a long time
Wasn't
since I
Victory Road? No, it wasn't. It wasn't Victory Road. What's the name of it? Yeah, sorry,
it's, no, sacrifice.
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 Yeah. Okay. There you
Yes.
go.
Yes, at Sacrifice, that build up all happened
Mm,
on Impact Television, and AEW just aired, one vignette on the Go Home show
mm-hmm.
beforehand. So I feel like it's been Impact just, providing everything, and AEW just kind of taking and taking and taking. So I don't really view it as a partnership. And at one point there was some
Mm-hmm.
highs and lows. The original high with Kenny Omega making his first appearance on Impact Wrestling, that was an obvious viewership, boost. And then for, the pay-per-view itself, there was, some pay-per-view buys specifically from people who wanted to watch Rich Swann versus Kenny Omega and maybe hadn't watched Impact in a while or had never watched before. But everything
Mm-hmm.
else, I just, for me, doesn't feel like it's been an equitable partnership, and even just a partnership. It's just been more of a business relationship where, AEW's gotten to use Impact Wrestling for Kenny Omega to become the belt collector. But
Mm-hmm.
traditionally too, when you see also what they've been doing with New Japan, that has been a relationship they've had for a while, and we're starting
Mm-hmm.
to see that presence on there. It's a little bit harder to evaluate because New Japan isn't running shows right now, and even in the U.S. version that they're doing here with New Japan Strong, that's its really own independent show compared to what they do with just New Japan Main.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit more optimistic on that. And then the company's had a long-standing relationship with AAA, and we're
There
seeing
you.
that
Mm-hmm.
now heading into Triple Mania with Deanna Parazzo and Fabi Apache having a title versus title match.
Yes. Mm,
So I feel like that's going to be probably the most lucrative partnership for Impact right now, only because I feel like Deanna's going to win and she'll, be the Reina de Reinas champion and Knockouts champion at the same time. So, I feel like, Impact is the company that is really working with multiple promotions and multiple companies. AEW is too, but you could obviously see that they prefer New Japan. New Japan's actually had a presence on AEW television. They talk about it a lot more. They've actually had New Japan matches on TV, or New Japan match, and they've also had New Japan talent on TV, where no Impact stars have been on AEW television. So I feel like they've just preferred.
Excuse me, only the Good Brothers, I think.
Oh yeah, the Good Brothers.
The
You
Good
know,
Good
Brothers are
that's
the
a good
only
brothers.
ones.
Yeah.
point. I almost I and I think I realized that because as far as I've already see them more part of AEW than Impact.
Yeah, they've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
appearing more
yeah.
on Dynamite than the Impact
Indirectly, yeah, you
programming.
have that feeling, yeah. And keep in mind, and it was not sacrifice. Now that I remember, Rebellion was the pay per view
Rebellion,
original.
yes,
So,
yes.
Rebellion.
Rebellion.
Rebel, Impact Wrestling, is getting more benefits of these partnerships more than the other companies. Rebellion was the first pay per view since 2014, I think, that got more than 1 million viewers, and that's an unbelievable number. Keeping in mind that even WWE and AEW are not getting those numbers in the pay per view unless you have like a Double or Nothing or a WrestleMania type of event. So so the effect of the partnership, especially having Omega in the main event, helps them a lot. With the viewers, the rating is going they're going great with Impact Wrestling, for instance, and you know like Geraldo, and Geraldo's gonna be next. What were you're saying that they're talking, about what we're gonna expect from the summer in wrestling?
Well, so apparently Dave Meltzer in the one of his podcasts, I think a week and a half ago, spoke about things happening this summer. Obviously, he didn't specify exactly what was going to happen, but he spoke about partnerships. Obviously, we know that Impact has their event, and they already announced that Okada might be in the event, and they announced a few New
Mm-hmm.
Japan wrestling talent coming in. Plus, most of the people are gonna be already off their 90-day compete clause. So basically, Samoa Joe, Chelsea Green, they're gonna have that influx of talent that will definitely raise the awareness of the brand, because you have all those people that obviously, uh, for better or worse, people that leave WWE obviously have have had more exposure. So when they go into another company, they bring that exposure with them. So that's definitely gonna help Impact a lot when it comes to getting
Mm-hmm.
more eyeballs to the product. At the same time, as Miranda said, I have to agree. When it comes to partnership, I think that you need to have benefits for both parts in the partnership, because
Mm-hmm.
if not, then it's not a partnership. And I think that we've seen that AEW has benefited a lot from the having the whole Kenny Omega going to the different companies and getting their belt, which I don't know if you're trying to build your brand. And I agree with Bully Ray when he said the other day that you actually diminish your brand when you have somebody from another company come into your company and
and
just
get your
basically,
title belt.
yeah,
Yep,
and
Mm-hmm.
get
yep.
your title belt. So it's like, so you're trying to build up your brand, because let's be realistic here. Impact Wrestling, even though comes from TNA, it's its own brand, because TNA established itself like as one thing, and that's why they rebranded as Impact Wrestling, to leave that
Behind.
everything behind, so they can start with something new. So in a way, they're trying to build that brand. But if you bring someone from another company and all of a sudden he just runs through, he doesn't even runs through your
He just
roster,
go to
because
get your title
he, yeah,
Yes.
he went directly to the title picture. You didn't even put him like number
and a
one
storyline
contenders,
or something.
yeah, on a storyline, so you can build him up. No, he goes directly and to the title picture. Then I don't know, like, what benefit is Impact getting from this, other than the fact that, oh yeah, we're in partnership with AEW and stuff like that. But like when it comes to the long term uh, health of the company, I don't think that they're actually getting a benefit from this. But
Well,
uh,
I think that the only benefit that they are getting is to have some good talent that are in
Mm-hmm.
other companies, because the roster of Impact is very limited.
Mhm.
They don't have too much talent like AEW and other companies. And when you got Kenny Omega, he's a big star, he's a big name, and he come to your brand and he have a match with Rizwan that he's a good guy, but he don't have the popularity that have Kenny Omega. The eyes of everybody is gonna be on your brand, and I think that that is the only benefit that they have from that thing.
no, and definitely at the same time, these partnerships are gonna help, because let's be realistic here. There's many wrestlers out there that they can't be under the same roof. That's
Yes,
what's
Mm-hmm.
happening right now with all these layoffs with WWE. They have too many people on their roster, and they don't have enough airtime or even shows to have that talent on. So basically, these partnerships are gonna help when it comes to payroll, because, for example, AEW can't afford to sign this guy. But if Impact signs this guy and they have them under their payroll, then under the partnership,
Like
you
the
can,
Good Brothers, like the
Yeah,
Good
the
like
Brothers.
Good
the
They
like
Brothers
the
they
is a
Good
good
Brothers, for
example.
example.
they
Yeah,
they are not with AEW, and they can go there every time they want. But Impact is the one
yeah,
that pay.
they're getting paid by Impact, but they're in AEW programming. So I think when it comes to financially speaking, then I think it benefits the the brands because they don't
Mm-hmm.
have to have anyone on their payroll. Like I said, like, I want this wrestler in my show, but I don't want to have to sign a long term contract because at the same time, everybody is benefiting from the bonanza because now free agency, it's like a
Is the best.
buffet. Like it's the best. Like right now, everybody wants to be let go. Like 10 years ago, nobody would go to Vince and tell them, "Oh, let me go." No, because there wasn't anything else out there other than the indies, which I'm not trying to belittle, but they didn't have the same exposure that
Oh
they
no,
have
definitely
now
not.
with streaming services and social media. So now everybody wants to be let go because it's a good time to be a free agent. So
Mm-hmm. Hey, Omar. So in these partnerships, you see, we seen NWA at least in the women's division. Their title, has been defended
On
multiple times
NAW, on
in
AEW.
AEW,
Yes.
but we're not seeing. I don't know. Maybe you guys know, but I don't know. What relationship NWA have with AEW on how deep they're gonna go if they're gonna let other talents rather besides
Everybody wanna
you
wanna
know
see Nick
because
Aldis versus Kenny Omega or something
hmm
like that.
Yeah.
EMW, the NWA, for to get more attention, ratings, or other things. Do you think that they're gonna let Aldis lose their title to Omega to accomplish
I,
that
I, I don't
collector storyline?
I don't think that is going to happen because if you see the NWA program, they have built Nick Aldis that like the old guys in back in the territories.
The
He have the
classic champion.
champion and he's a classic champion. He didn't lose with nobody, and he fight only in their company. He didn't go to fight anywhere else because he's the champion of the world, and that is what I think that maybe you can do an event. Kenny Omega with all that belts versus the world champion Nick Aldis, and will be something good. Is gonna we have
You
a
know.
way to see
Mm,
what is gonna happen, but I think that the best thing is that WWE is a big monster, and no one of these companies can fight with WWE. But if all these companies fight as a unit, like
mm-hmm.
with this alliance,
Mm-hmm.
and they could fight with WWE like they are doing, because all the talent that are in all that companies are
Mm-hmm.
good talents, and you're gonna see a lot of dream matches that in WWE you are not gonna see that matches.
So Miranda, before going to the next topic, and at the end, in the long run, do you think these partnerships are gonna help, get stronger and have this, compared to the 90s, I don't think nobody wants to go to these wrestling wars that they used to. For instance, if I take AEW for example, they're gonna be some Wednesdays. They're not gonna broadcast Dynamite because of the NBA playoffs, so they're gonna move it for Friday. So instead of competing versus SmackDown at 8, they're gonna move their program for at 10 p.m. So that means they have no intention of going head to head. And I think even the because the Wednesday night wars, that didn't last that long. I don't think nobody wants to go to that again. So in the long run, having all these partnerships, is gonna be good for business.
That's a good question. And
Mm,
I think ultimately it will be if the partnerships, are able to come up and provide these dream matches. I think Gerardo and Omar had very good points as far as Gerardo when you said about the Impact World Championship being kind of deflated because they are putting that on someone who's not in their company. And so that is a move where, yeah, to me, it just feels like it's not a good utilization of the partnership. But well, as Omar said too, if you have these dream matches that happen where you have, people from different companies facing each other, it is going to, I think, build up and create good content, and it will
Mm-hmm.
help with pay-per-view buys, streaming, bringing eyes to a new product. And I think that's going to be the one thing that WWE really can't do, is those dream matches with people from different companies and even different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like if there is more of an attention to that, and also how the companies can leverage what they're good at and their
Mm-hmm.
strengths to then help other companies, and I feel like that's a long-term benefit. And at the end of the day, we all know the WWE will remain the top company. It will always be that way.
Yes.
But if companies can have a unique spin on their product and the matches they provide, as we've seen, it's gonna bring people to their TV show or to their pay-per-view. And so I think that's kind of the angle you have to play now, is
Mm-hmm.
kind of this fantasy booking uh, uh, world, the matchups
Mm-hmm.
that you don't get to see anywhere, these big, almost once in a lifetime moments. But they have to be careful too, and I think that they have to ultimately try and do what they can to help build their companies and help get them out there more, but also be open to working with other companies, because now the expectation of fans is set high. The bar continues to get raised every single month or year,
Yes.
and with every pay-per-view. So sometimes the best way to do that is together.
Mm-hmm. And I think the peak of these partnerships, and I think it's gonna be Slammiversary. At the end of July. If I take seriously that teaser that we saw in Rebellion, that we saw pictures of Samoa Joe, pictures of Australian flags, stuff like that. It will be interesting. Last year they did it. It works. Taking advantage of all these ex WWE wrestlers, and if you have Omega on the picture as well, I think they're gonna surpass the 1 million viewers again. And so from that point on, it will be interesting what's gonna happen, how these partnerships are gonna shift in the wrestling world. You never know. Maybe this will help to create an another event, the All In Part Two. That they create
Will be
before.
great.
hmm
Hmm.
that we have a lot of uh, for a bunch of companies, right? It was I don't remember how many companies were
Ring of
All
involved.
Honor,
in
Ring
All of
of
was
them, right?
Honor,
Reign of
Ring of
Honor
Honor,
Hmm.
was
New Japan.
hmm
yeah,
I
it
don't
was
remember.
New Japan, Reign of Honor, and CMLL, because Reign of Honor and CMLL have a partnership, which
That
Partnership.
they don't
partnership
have,
by the time.
with they don't have anymore. But yeah, they
hmm
Yeah.
used to have it. So yeah,
So they
But
could take
now
them.
you have
hmm
AAA in the mix, because
Yes.
AAA have
yeah.
that partnership with
Triple A has
AEW.
that partnership with
Hmm.
AEW too. Yeah.
If
Give me.
if you look, they have the best of Japan, the best of Mexico,
Yes.
and the indies world in the states.
So
Hmm.
give us all in part two. That's what we're asking for. Give us all these matches once a
And
year.
NWA, because like for example, Billy Corgan is really like good friends with Tony Khan. So I think that NWO brings another
Yeah.
thing to the table, because there's many wrestlers that they only want to do NWA because NWA just does like tapings once a month or something like
Yes.
that. So it's better for the schedule. So
Yeah.
when it
hmm
comes to that, you could bring wrestlers that are really not committed to signing a long-term agreement,
Thunder
but they
Rosa.
can do
You have
Thunder.
Thunder Rosa that
You
she
have
fight
Thunder Rosa.
in
You
AEW,
have
in
all. You
NWA
have
and
all
AEW.
these
Yeah.
Chris Masters, Damon Sandow. They have a lot of good talent that I think that they just want to do their own thing. Like they want to be able to wrestle and do other things on the side. So
hmm
NWA is the best alternative for them. So I think that if they bring NWA to the fold, which they actually NWA was in the first All In because
Yeah.
there
Yes,
was
They
the
had
fight
the
that
Alice and Cody
Cody
Rhodes, right?
mm-hmm.
Aldis and Cody Rhodes. So yeah, they if you bring NWA to the fold too, as Omar said, like you could like United. And it's not about defeating WWE because as
That's not gonna
Miranda
happen.
said, that's not gonna happen. But you can provide an alternative to WWE's product, which is what
Unreal alternative because
Yeah.
yeah, because that's what fans want. They
Well,
don't want WWE 2.0. They want something different to what WWE is offering. So
well, at the end, that's how we ended up. So you have Raw Monday, you have NXT on Tuesday, you have AEW on Wednesday, you have Impact on Friday, on Thursday, I
on
mean,
Thursday.
and probably a lot of other company have the Fridays.
Well, MLW, it's
MLW's
on
Wednesdays.
it's Wednesdays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they have yeah MLW is on Wednesday, but it's in an earlier time. So you have the
Yeah.
AEW Darks on around 6 or 7 p.m. So it's not that they are competing directly
campaign.
with other companies. In the times. So it will be an interesting summer. So I'm going to the second topic because this wow, that was only the first topic. Whew. So the second topic, and this is one that is been trending, is still trending a lot. Is and I'm gonna start with you, Miranda. What do you think about this new Roman Reigns new head of the table gimmick? I know we've been seeing this for the past few months. Probably from since the end of the 2020, but he won WrestleMania. He beat two one Hall of Famer and a future Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Well, I put it this way.
two of the best wrestlers or
Yeah,
He,
two in the yeah.
hmm he's been defending the Universal title successfully. For it's gonna almost a year. So what do you think about this new gimmick and for how long do you think this will work?
Yeah. I love the new gimmick. I feel like finally Roman Reigns has an identity that is not tied to the Shield. And for me, that is
And
where I was very hung up on for a while as to why I never really quite connected with Roman, or maybe why I felt like I understood some of the fans dis who were displeased with him, or just his character. Really, I think his in-ring work is very solid, and he works very well. But the one thing that I always kept thinking in my mind is that when the Shield broke up, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose both got their own identities afterwards, and Roman Reigns was kind of given the leftovers of what the Shield was, and we didn't really get to see who he could be. And even though Seth has gone through a lot of changes in his characters, and then, you know, Dean left to eventually be John Moxley and all of that, they changed. They became different people, and you got to see different sides of them than what they were in the Shield. And I just couldn't quite figure out, who is Roman Reigns? Who is he? He's a great athlete. He's maybe not the loudest talker, and there's aspects of him that you can kind of figure out. But I just, as someone, to me, who I very much am drawn to characters and stories, I just couldn't quite figure him out. And I feel like the head of the table, and I wouldn't even say gimmick, because I feel like it's somewhat true now that he is the head of this new Samoan dynasty.
hmm
He is now the most famous, Samoan outside of The Rock, who is in wrestling and who exists. So I love how they've incorporated these elements of family too, because it makes it that much more real. And the best stories and the best characters are those that have tie-ins to real life. And it's a bit of already what the person is, but it's elevated to a larger degree. And so I finally feel like things are clicking for Roman Reigns. And because of that, fans love it. The company seems to love it. So I don't see this going anywhere anytime soon. I feel like they're building him to be the biggest, not only star, but just competitor in the entire company. And it's going to take something very, very, very big for this to change, for him to get beat. And I know there had been lots of stories and thoughts about possibly The Rock, and that would happen. But I think actually it would be great if he beat The Rock because then
Yeah.
that would establish
Hmm.
him as the true head of the table. So I don't know who's going to beat him. I literally cannot think of anybody who is going to beat him anytime soon. And I think that's okay because even if it is, a year plus down the line, whoever they do faces off that does beat him is going to be a made person, and maybe that person's on the roster now and maybe they're not yet, who knows, but I don't see this ending anytime soon. And even if he does have a big name that he faces, I could absolutely see him winning and continuing this new version of himself for a long time.
Okay, yeah, and I agree with a lot of things that you said, and make perfect sense. So, Omar, and I'm gonna ask you. So I do you were surprised when Roman Reigns turned heel? Because historically everybody was comparing him with Cena. Because and people didn't like that. And Cena never turned heel once he he turned face only one time.
Yeah, and he still face all the rest of.
Mhm. So, did it surprise you that Roman Reigns, finally turn heel, and you see how successful now it is?
Surprised me the long time that WWE have waited to do this thing because
Mm-hmm.
I think Roman Reigns, as Miranda says, when the Shield split,
Mm-hmm.
you see Rollins that have his identity,
Mm-hmm.
and the same with Ambrose, but Roman didn't have that because that other guys worked in the indies, and they were some people and names before being hired by
Mm-hmm.
WWE. And Roman Reigns is like a product that WWE make from a little
Yeah, from scratch. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
from scratch. And you see Roman Reigns, how now when he have Paul Heyman, he didn't need Paul Heyman
Oh no,
because
at this point,
you
no.
now you see him talking. Now you see him calm. He's a more good wrestler now because he have used now his psychology, and when he have the matches, as he have the match with Cesaro, you see that now he looks like $1 million. He looks like a wrestler with a lot of experience now. And when you see it now fighting, you said, oh, this is the guy that supposed to be the head of the WWE a long time ago. And I think that this is the best thing happened to him to be now
Mhm.
this heel guy, but is an heel, as Miranda says, that is like with this angle on his family
Mhm.
is so good. I think that the Jey Uso is the one that is gonna el que está con ellos, ¿verdad? ¿Ha sido Jay o Jimmy? Jay.
Jimmy, no,
Jay.
man,
Oh,
one,
Jay.
No,
one, one of them.
Uh,
Jay is the
Jay
one that's
Jay is the one
been with
that
him,
Yeah,
and
they
yeah.
look the
Jimmy is
same.
the
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
that
okay.
is not doesn't want to get
Yeah.
together with them.
It
Jay
doesn't matter.
Jay have helped Jay
It
have
doesn't
helped
matter.
matter.
Jay have helped him a lot to build his new character, and I
Mm,
think that Roman Reigns is now on the prime of his
yeah,
character.
and I think the purpose of Paul Heyman was,
Get
that
hit,
he.
get hit.
Yeah, that he's that a pro that part of SmackDown back in October. I remember what date that at the end of that show he was talking with Heyman, and that was the surprise thing that everybody didn't expect. That's to convince you that he's gonna turn heel, because it's maybe it's gonna be difficult just all of a sudden without nobody say try to represent to be a heel. So the only way to convince and say and people start thinking, okay, this is going to happen, is that part with Heyman. So technically, Heyman is just a presence to remind people that he's a heel. You see, because he doesn't need Heyman realistically talking. Heyman sometimes he doesn't talk, and that's okay. Because Roman
And
at
it's
least.
good because you didn't
Mhm.
see the same Heyman you see with Brock. And
Mm-hmm.
and
Correct.
and and
Correct.
and, and when you look at him and you think, oh, this is gonna be the same thing that happened with Brock, and it's not happening that way, you know.
Mm-hmm. Geraldo, so you, what about you? You're seeing, the head of the table beating everybody for the past month, solidifying, his new reputation. Now everybody loves him all of a sudden. It's not that uh that Roman Reigns that we were booing for the past years. Not even with the help of the Rock in that Royal Rumble. So what do you think of this?
No, as I mentioned in other episodes before, this should have happened a long time ago because the thing with Roman is that they wanted to make him a babyface so bad that it happened. It's what happened with The Rock when The Rock
Rocky
first came
Maivia.
in. Yeah, when Rocky Maivia came in, they wanted to sell him as a babyface, and he wasn't in his own skin because it's not something that comes natural to him. Like when he started doing, like when he started with the Nation and started doing that character, like with the like arrogant, that's what when he actually got into his own, because it was something that he could play with. But unfortunately, like, and I think Rollins said something about this. I think Rollins is the one that said something about this the other day about being a difficult being how difficult it is to be a baby face nowadays
Yes, yes,
because people
Rollins.
don't buy you and this and that, and it's like, dude, like the fact that you're trying to sell me the whole baby face
Mm-hmm.
thing in 2021, it shows me that you don't understand the fans when they're coming from, because like I don't want like a black and white,
Yeah.
because even shows don't show you that black and white. And even going back to the 90s, you can see that Bischoff and all those people were like, oh, like we knew that the 90s, and obviously pop culture wise, a lot of things change. So you were not able to sell the whole baby face bad guy thing because people were didn't want to buy that anymore. But obviously, since starting the PG era, they had to go back to the whole baby face. But
Superheroes.
the superheroes, and Roman obviously has the look. The guy, as Omar said, he looks like $1 million, but that's not him. And going back into what Miranda said, the best characters are extensions of people. Like they have to feel what they're portraying in a way. It doesn't. Maybe it's an exaggerated version of how they are really, but at
Mm-hmm.
least it's something that they can
Identified.
embrace, identify, they can embrace. And Roman, every time he would be working as a baby face, you could see his body language, how uncomfortable he felt doing it, because it wasn't something that he was actually, it was really, really scripted.
He was
Like
like a
he,
machine in the promos. It
yeah,
was like, okay, I
Yeah,
have a
very
dream.
robotic. Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was very robotic because it was something that the script, he couldn't even like. It's not like our truth that they give him lemons and he makes lemonade. That guy, he can make anything work. Like the
Yes.
most stupid thing, he'll
Gimmick.
make it. Yeah, the most stupid gimmick, he'll make it work. But for Roman, it was difficult. And now that you see this whole run as the head of the table, it's like, dude, this is what we should have been getting
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago. Like, why did you take so long to finally understand that this is the best way that you can push him into the top of the company? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why they waited so long to do this. And
I think that was Vince that he want to Roman Reigns be like his Cena. He
Yeah.
He won
Yeah,
that guy. He
Mm-hmm.
won. This is my new Cena, man.
yeah, and the thing is that
You only have
Lesnar,
one Cena. You only have one Hulk Hogan, and
yeah,
you need to have a Roman Reigns.
and eventually, like if you solidify him now, he'll be able to turn babyface,
And people
and
buy him.
actually, and people will buy him because with this run, you're actually cementing him, like giving him that credibility that people didn't want to give him when he was doing the babyface thing. But now, and it's gonna be cliche, but I'm gonna say organically, like organically, he's gonna turn into what Vince
Day one.
Yeah.
wants him to be. So, in a way, like they've done it like little by little. They changed the entrance theme. He's changed his uniform, and little by little, as Miranda said, he's developed an identity which he didn't have before. Because whenever he left the Shield, he was
He
oh
looks
the
like
guy
the
that
same guy.
the
Yeah, it
guy
was
that
like
was
he
in
was
the Shield.
given the
Mm,
leftovers of the shield and say, okay,
Yeah, like
this
yeah,
is still.
yeah, you're right.
everybody had like Rollins has had like 40 gimmicks
And the
since
same move and the same movement.
the same the same
Now
moves.
is the only time that he have changed all that move and
Yes.
have a new move set.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely, and yeah, I'm glad that this is happening, and hopefully he'll be Universal Champion for uh,
Long time.
maybe a long time, a long time.
And
Yeah.
and you know something that will go that with that said, we can go to our last topic because we're gonna talk about championship reigns, right? In the first topic, we mentioned Kenny Omega a lot. Especially the from what we're seeing right now, he's collecting different championships. We see Roman Reigns with Universal Championship right now, and like you guys said, or Miranda said in this case, for the first time, we don't have a clue who will beat Roman Reigns. So his championship
Carry on
reign,
cross.
it will be long, man.
The
No, I
Carrion
don't.
Cross. If they build him,
Uh,
if WWE build him the right way, I think Carrion Cross it could be the only one because you didn't want Brock Lesnar more. AJ Style is not gonna be.
You,
It's
you
not
know,
gonna be Seth Rollins. And maybe they do that thing with Seth Rollins again.
well, and Carrion Cross, is not a bad option, but we still have
Well,
to
not
see a
now.
little.
Well, not
No, no,
now.
no. We're
Not
talking
now. I
in a
think like
long run.
in 1 year, something like
You
that,
know,
when
you know,
Roman
but
played with his cousin The Rock and all that
the,
thing.
the, the thing is, I don't know if WWE wanna do a San Martino things, holding the title for years. That would be awesome. It will be different, but
But
we as
Brock
fans,
Lesnar, how much time
but that doesn't
he
count,
lose
because
and he win the title?
let's not can win in January. He's not gonna fight until August. That's a reality. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, no, no,
So,
He
that's
fight
not
for
so,
years.
funny. That's how he stays champion for a year. He
you
doesn't
know,
defend
He
himself.
fight for
it's
years. He fight for
it's
years.
funny when the one of the championship reigns of Brock Lesnar. You go to the social media and WWE was mentioning Brock Lesnar have this title for hundreds of years, and I'm really, but of those 300 days, how
He
many
only
times
fight
you
five
fight?
times.
right.
Four
Roman
times
has already defended his title more times,
in a monthly
just to
basis.
this point than Brock Lesnar did in a whole reign.
Yeah.
Mm,
Punk's run, which obviously they did, all that Brock Lesnar comment they did was obviously
Or
to
Punk.
like for Punk, which if you think about it, it's not even fair because Punk in his reign he was defending the championship in house shows too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like and Lesnar doesn't even do
Every
house
two
shows.
weeks.
No.
mm.
Like so basically yeah, it's like dude, like it's not even like near the Punk's reign, but hey, whatever.
So, Miranda, in your opinion, between the Roman Reigns championship reign and Kenny Omega multiple championship reign that he's having around have right now. Which of the two is the one that you are more interested in seeing the most? Basically you have the case of Roman Reigns. And something that you said the other topic. For the first time, you don't know who can beat Roman Reigns. Even in the next WrestleMania. I don't think if The Rock is gonna have a main event WrestleMania with Reigns. I don't think it will be good that The Rock beats him. I think
Yeah.
you need
He
Roman
need
Reigns to
he
beat.
need to beat the Rock.
So,
Yeah.
but if you, well, in the other hands, you have Omega that that he wants to conquer all these companies and get all the titles. So which one is the one that you are more interested in?
Mhm. I would say that I am much more interested in Roman's reign as Universal Champion. And that is only just because of the way that Kenny Omega's reign and time with Impact has gone, and the fact that it just feels like this is just a way for him to collect
Hmm.
a bunch of belts, and I don't know if it's really meant to elevate any particular companies, like really from the heart. I feel like it's been a byproduct, absolutely, because of viewership and pay-per-view buys, but I also feel like it's more of a way for Kenny Omega to get all of these championship belts. But the one belt he's never really going to get, and not never say never, because we've seen weirder things in wrestling. But the one belt he's never going to get is a WWE belt. So is it almost thinking like you have to get all of these other belts to almost be in the
Compare.
same, yeah, to be in the same conversation? And so it does leave a little bit interest about what is next as far as which belt or belts Kenny Omega is going to go after. We talked about the NWA World's Championship. There's not a lot of big titles in other companies, and so you wonder, what would be the next belt. So I feel like there's some intrigue there, but I feel like there's a lot more intrigue in just the reign of Roman, of who's next, who is he going to face, um, how is he going to continue this? Who will finally be the person that beats him? Because whoever that person is will be the next person. So, I do actually love Omar's idea about Karrion Cross. That would be such a great way to put over, someone else. But it almost leaves you wondering who. I mean, there really isn't a lot of people on the roster, but it also gives an opportunity to have people have that stage to face him. I think the feud with Cesaro has been great and one of my favorites in a long time, and such a great opportunity to showcase Cesaro. So I feel like the competitors that Roman's going to face, to me, will be more interesting than the ones that Kenny's are going to face. Also because I kind of already, even though you kind of know what what the end result is going to look like for both of these, I feel like this one is really truly a little bit more defined with Roman. It's a single path, it's a defined path, whereas Kenny's may be kind of a little bit over the place. And after a while, it's going to get challenging for Kenny if he has to, defend all of these titles all over the place. So, just me personally, I'm more invested in Roman's reign as Universal Champion.
Mm-hmm. Omar, and I know this is something that we talk, before, for the past weeks because it's keep trending. But I'm gonna ask you again in English version.
Yeah.
So, Roman Reigns, championship reign, or Kenny Omega multiple champion reign? Which one, you are enjoying the most, and what do you think will be the outcome, or the end of this?
Okay, I am enjoying more the Roman Reigns reign about he is filled with Cesaro, like
Mm-hmm.
Miranda says. I think that now he is in his peak, and and it will be great matches now for come to him, but I don't think nobody is gonna win, and even McIntyre lose to him, and who is gonna be like Miranda says. In the other way, we have. Omega, and you can have a lot of dream matches with Omega. If you can have the one with Andrade, that could be a great match in AAA. You can have a good match with him in New Japan, and if they built Omega as the collector of all champions, but not the NWA champion, and you get that finally match between Nick Aldis as the world champion of the territories back in the
Yeah,
day.
the classic
Yeah,
championships.
yeah,
Yeah.
the classic
Mm-hmm.
champion versus the collector champion, and Omega beats Nick Aldis, then you are gonna have Omega as the big name in all wrestling world. And I
Okay.
think that will be more good to Omega and to AEW and all the companies because in the WWE you know what you're gonna get almost every time, but
Mm-hmm.
in the indie way it's not the same.
Okay. Hey, I like what you said as well. Oh, Geraldo. Same question to you. Which of the two championship reigns you're enjoying the most right now, or and what do you think will be the outcome?
Definitely romance because of the quality of competition. As Miranda said, definitely when you come to romance reign, he's faced better quality of competition. Like I don't mean to discredit any of the wrestlers that Kenny has
Daniel
faced, but
Bryan, Edge,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Cesaro,
that's true
Cesaro,
let's
three of the
like
best.
already.
Kevin
Because
Steen,
yeah,
keep naming
yeah,
yeah, you have
the
Roman
Fiend.
with a who's who when it comes to
McIntyre.
basically and people that are already the best of their generation or eventually are gonna become the best of their generation, and you have Omega's bouts that hey, Rich Swann is a really good wrestler, and hey, but he to me, and this is my personal opinion, he wasn't up there to be like the face of a company.
Like Laredo Kid in the AAA, the same
yes,
thing when
Like
he
yes,
lost the
those
Laredo
were
title
Kid,
with him.
yeah.
all, yeah, absolutely. And even coming up for, Double or Nothing, he's facing, Pac and Orange
And Orange
Cassidy.
Cassidy,
And
Yeah,
so,
they
which
are
are
not in
not
his level.
ready for,
no,
which are
no.
not ready, and now he's gonna face Moose in Impact, which I don't get either because in a way, like it's not convincing because like obviously we know he's not gonna lose the title, but at least give him an opponent, which I
The
as
Osprey.
an yeah somebody that I can think, oh, maybe he can win, even though I know for a fact that he's not gonna lose the title. Give me an opponent that I can say, maybe he can win, like Drew and Bobby, fights that are really balanced. That any one of them could win the match, even though you know the outcome. But when it comes to Omega's reign, none of the opponents he has faced really makes me think that they could win. So
Mm-hmm.
Roman's reign has been different, and Roman's reign, like all the opponents he has faced, is like, oh, they
They
could
supposed
win.
to win. They supposed to
Yeah,
win.
they're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
win, or they could be the face of the company because either they already done it before, or they're ready to be the face of the company, or have a title run. But Omega's reign hasn't been like that, and I don't think that in the long run it's gonna get better because unless you actually and this is something that they should listen, because Omar just gave them the best idea they could have right now to finish that and to actually give some credibility to Omega's reign. Is like, if he keeps collecting titles, eventually he's gonna have to face somebody that this is like boxing. Like when you're
Mm-hmm.
starting out, you're gonna beat a lot of people
Nicalis
that
is like the Mayweather in the wrestling right now.
Yeah, basically. So basically, this is like boxing. You're gonna beat a lot of people that were like fighting in Badger boxing cards,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you get to the next level, that's when you know, okay, like now I'm in the big leagues. So for Omega's reign to be solidified, he has to face somebody that it means that, like, for example, the NWA title, which has the prestige, which has the history behind it. So if you want him to be credible as the collector of champions, then after he collects all those titles, then he has to face somebody that really presents a challenge to him, which I guess the best idea would be that make him fight. Like, let's do an all in, or let's do maybe a pay per view that brings everyone together, and all the titles of each company are defended in that event, like, and everybody gets to have a piece of the pie, because as Miranda said, now the partnerships have been one-sided, like only
It's
one
not equal.
company.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not equal. So let's do a show where everybody has their talent in, all the titles are defended, and everybody gets a piece of the pie, and then the partnership makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, in my opinion, you know, the only thing that needs Omega to solidify everything that he's doing in his career, is WWE. That's the only company left. And you know, I'm not saying that he's never going to join WWE, but if that
AJ Styles
happens,
did it, and
AJ
AJ
Styles.
Styles did not do it when WWE won him.
Mhm.
Hmm.
He waited his time.
Yeah, so in a way, and sometimes I think one thing, the other day I think the other thing, and then you guys are saying stuff that made me think, okay, I'm gonna shift to one or the other. The only, the Roman Reigns championship reign is good, because because of his head of the table thing that he have. You will see that he will have the title for a long run, and we don't have no idea who's gonna beat him, right? you know but for some reason, even, and this is something that but it's a personal opinion. you know the universal title for me is not the important championship of WWE. I know it's a made title, that because when you divide the brands, you have to have a champion, like it happens with the world heavyweight. If, in my opinion, if you want to have Roman Reigns to be the top of the game, you know they should unify. They have to unify both Universal with the WWE Championship, and then you will have your true championship reign on the
That is gonna
because
happen soon. That is gonna
And
happen
there's
soon.
there's
because
only
That,
one
that
universal
maybe
champion, the
maybe
Puerto
he could
Rican
go in
universal
the Royal
champion.
Rumble and win the Royal Rumble, and he said, I am going now for
be,
the other
be,
title.
because the World Heavyweight Championship, it ended up being unified, not only one, like twice, two times, and then it disappeared, and then at the end they have the need of creating a new championship. This one is the Universal Championship. Obviously, at this point, you have the same level of the classic WWE Championship, because it's representing the brand that you are in. But for some reason, if Roman Reigns have the WWE champion instead, probably I may think that, okay, this is real, and I hope that happens. I think that's the championship that he needs more than the Universal Championship. So I hope one day they unify. Now, if I go with Omega, and this is difficult to say, because I know that how long this storyline will keep going, because let's say that he's gonna chase the New Japan Championship, right? You have to wait probably until January of next year to try to get that title from Osprey, if he's still the champion by that time. So until that point, are you gonna affect
And that is gonna
all?
be a dream match.
No, no,
Yeah.
definitely, it's gonna be a dream match. But New Japan is not gonna waste that match, in the U.S. or in
That
any
match
other
has to
places.
be in
They wanna
Wrestle
do it in
Kingdom.
Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
So how much you have to wait almost a year, you know, having all these championship for other company, the other company will let that happen like Impact is doing right now. You never know. So I don't know how patient and how was the agreement or the deal that Impact have with AEW with the championships. Maybe what I think. You don't Omega doesn't need to have those championship for a long time. He can loosen and win it again. For instance, I will not mind that Samoa Joe joins Impact again and beat him and get the title, and then have a rematch, close to Wrestle Kingdom, beat him so he can have those titles back when he fight Osprey, for instance. In the other hand, he's gonna start fighting people that have more are in a higher class. Andrade. That's a match that I'm gonna take seriously. If
Another dream match.
it's not the same,
Yes, that would be much better, like almost a redo. That he
mm,
wins it with an opponent that is a much higher caliber than when he originally won it.
because yeah, at this point you can have a program with Samoa Joe. If he's healthy, I hope so. For me, it's more credible that to lose with Joe and beat him, because then I think it's not the same beating Swamp that beating Yo. You understand that? So in AAA, they're doing it good. They're gonna have a better opponent, and you never know. You have even the Alberto. El Patron. Maybe and the mix in the long run representing what the AAA. And New Japan, it's a different story. New Japan is not. They don't let all their talents, to go to the U.S. and fight. And for me, that's the reason that if Omega wants to have that collector or gimmick, if you say it that way, he have to wait all the way to until January of 2022 to make it happen. So right now, the Roman Reigns championship reign is I think the outcome is that he will have that title more than all this title that Omega have, because I don't know how patient the other companies will will be with Omega having their championships and not being full time with that company.
Mhm.
So now this is the topics that we cover. Miranda. If people want to know more about your show and your social media, the mic is yours. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so you mentioned I'm part of a podcast. So you host a podcast, the #Miranda Show, on the Chairshot.com. I also co-host a few other podcasts on there, called Chairshot Radio on Wednesdays and the Babyface Heel podcast. Those you can all find at the Chairshot.com. And then I'm also one of the co-hosts of the Lucha Central Weekly podcast that you can find on luchacentral.com, that focuses just on lucha libre, happening all over the world in WWE, in Mexico, in AEW, Impact everywhere. And we also talk about lucha libre history, news happening throughout the world in lucha. And then you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook, the #Miranda, hashtag spelled out. And you can follow me as far as the podcast that I'm on and release, ring announcing that I do in Arizona and in Vegas and anywhere else that I go to. And yeah, those are my places. I'd love for you guys to check out those podcasts and my social
Hmm.
media.
Cool. No, and thank you again for the second time to visit us in our virtual studio. And if people wanna hear more from Trifulca Wrestling Media, go check on us. In all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even TikTok. And again, we don't dance on TikTok. We just put a summary of the news at the end of the day, and we put clips of interviews and other recaps on other podcasting that we do. Maybe one of these topics we're gonna put clips in TikTok anytime soon. So, check us out, and again, this will be the first of a lot of episode that we're gonna start doing in English. So bear with us with our language. We're used to speak Spanish, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So and I thank you again, Miranda. To join us. And it's been an honor for us. Because you have a knowledge of wrestling that it amazes us. You always make you talk things with much sense and everything. So we appreciate your time.
Thank you guys. I really, really like talking with you. You're all just so incredibly smart, and you guys have all. You're also like your thoughts and fantasy booking this week is just like your ideas blew my mind. There's so many things that everyone talked about that I thought, man, that's such a good idea, or that would be so cool. So I really look forward to talking with you guys again. And I just thank you for the chance to talk with you about these topics because they're all really buzzing around the wrestling world, and I'm glad to be able to share my thoughts.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. No, thank you for that. Well, this is it for this episode. On behalf of Miranda, Geraldo, Omar, and Alex, until next time.